Hello and welcome to Canvas Credit Union's Build Your Budget video. I'm Nancy Patton.
And I'm Carla Hunt. And for the next few minutes, we're going to discuss the why and how of setting up a personal budget. So I bet you've been told having a budget's a good idea. Maybe you've even tried it out. And for whatever reason, you're taking a look at the idea now. The good news is there are a lot of ways to set up a budget. We're going to cover 6 steps to getting started, share several tracking methods to pick from, and discuss tips to beating common budgeting challenges. Let's start by thinking about why people make a budget. Some common reasons are control over your money, peace of mind, achieving a savings goal, maybe managing a financial crisis, tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went, and it helps with communicating about money in a relationship. Here are some basic concepts about budgeting. Everyone's budget is different. Not just because we all have different incomes, but also because every household has different priorities, different expenses, and values. And just like we have different income and expenses, we like to tackle projects different ways. So although every budget needs a way to track income, expenses, and show a balance, there are a lot of methods for recording those numbers. We'll be showing you a variety of ways to keep track of your numbers. The important thing is to keep track. Be patient with yourself. It will take time to build the habit of budgeting. Aim for progress, not perfection, as you get started. Great, we agree there are a lot of good reasons to use a budget. Now, how to set one up? Remember, there's no right, wrong, or only way to do this. There are some common steps and concepts to budgeting, but your budget won't be like anyone else's.
Let's look at the steps you'll take to make your budget. Gather your numbers, choose a tracking system, enter the numbers, do the math, make a plan. Repeat steps 3 through 5. Not too bad, huh? We'll dive deeper into each step in a minute, but we want to insert a note here that if there's more than one person in your household who earns and spends money, then before you go too deep into the budgeting process, we really encourage you to talk with the other person. For the best success in creating a budget and a future money plan, you'll need participation from everyone. Our first step in making your budget is to gather your numbers. Most people set up their budget on a monthly basis because many expenses occur on a monthly basis. It helps if you can gather numbers from the last 2 or 3 months when you get started, but don't worry if you can't find everything right away. Find your account statements, pay stubs, bills, receipts, memories, anything that shows what you've been earning and spending recently.
Now that you have the numbers, you can choose a tracking system. Some popular options are to use an app, write in a notebook, use an online template, enter numbers on a calendar, or create a custom spreadsheet. For a big picture overview of your money coming in and going out each month, you can use a calendar to mark the days when you have money coming in and which days your bills are due. This isn't a deep look at your spending, but more of an overview of your money flow. To really track where your money is going, you will need to track all your income and spending. You'll also need a place to balance out those numbers. Track what you spend on groceries, gas, insurance payments, utility, bills, birthday gifts, that breakfast burrito you grabbed because you were starving, and the Starbucks you got to stay awake in the afternoon. Many people use a notebook with categories that they can fill in each time they're at the grocery store, out to eat, getting a haircut, getting paid, or when they find that surprise $20 bill on the sidewalk. If handwriting your spending doesn't appeal to you, try a spreadsheet that you can build on your own, or get an online template for one. Does an app sound easier? Research budgeting apps for the latest reviews and descriptions. Canvas and many other banks and credit unions provide budgeting tools in their home banking. You will need to decide how detailed your tracking will need to be. Will you label your category transportation and put car insurance, registration, gasoline, repairs, bus passes, tolls, and oil changes on there? Or do you want a separate spot for each of those items? It's totally up to you how detailed you want to be. It really doesn't matter what system you pick or how detailed you get. The important thing is to actually use it to track your money as it comes in and goes out.
Step 3. You gathered your numbers, chose a system. Now you put all that data into your tracker. And this is a good spot to remind you that all budgets should include a plan for how much money you're going to save each month and how much you are going to set aside for fun. It's critical to your financial success that you plan to save, and it's critical to your mental health that you plan to have some fun money to spend. Step 4 isn't complex, but it's important. Income minus expenses equals your monthly balance. Regardless of whether this number is positive or negative, now you know the truth. And your next step is to make a plan for your future months. Here are some possible actions based on what you've done so far. Now that you know your spending, did you find that you have some money left over? Come up with a plan for it. Some options include build emergency savings, pay down debt, save for a special event, increase donations, or increase retirement savings. What if there's a shortage? Maybe you can solve the shortage because you noticed things you didn't like when you were adding expenses to your tracker. Had you just lost track of how much it really costs to eat out? Or buy gifts for all the parties your kids get invited to? How many things are signed up for on automatic billing and you don't want or need that anymore? Maybe you'll discover you need to make some bigger changes. Let's take a look at those options.
If you have a budget shortfall and are creating your action plan to manage the situation, there are 3 ways to do it. 1, increase income. Some ideas to consider are taking a part-time job or side hustle for a few months until you can come up with a long-term financial plan. You can sell things you aren't using. Don't forget the stuff in your storage unit. Consider renting out a room. With more time, you can look at adding work skills or credentials to boost your earnings. 2, decrease spending. If you track your spending accurately, you will likely find small things that could be cut back on or even eliminated. If your monthly shortage is a big one, you may need to consider downsizing your home or vehicle. It's important to review your debt payments because there may be a way to refinance, consolidate, or realign your debts to save money. And 3, combine more income with less spending.
Okay, you've gathered your numbers, entered them in your tracking system. You did the math and came up with a plan based on what you learned. Now that you know approximately how much you spend each month, you can decide how you want to proceed. You can track spending in a general way just to know where you stand each month. The more traditional way to budget is to plan an amount for each category. So your budget plan is $400 each month for food, $1,200 for rent, your phone is this much, your utilities this much, you get the idea. Those numbers go in the budget column. And then as you spend each month, you're putting your true spending numbers into the actual column. And you can see if you're over in food, but under on your gasoline expense. Stay flexible and adapt as needed.
Staying flexible with your budget includes overcoming challenges that may pop up. If you get started and realize your tracking system is too simple or too detailed, you can change how many tracking categories you have. What if you and your partner spend money in different ways? They use cash and you put everything on the credit card. The cash spender is going to have to get receipts or write notes so the spending can be tracked. It's easy for cash to sort of disappear, so it'll be important to get the cash spender in the habit of tracking. Here's the opposite problem that can happen if you spend on a credit or debit card. You look at the account statements and see that you spent $120 at Target. Was that for groceries, birthday gift, furniture, clothing, or a little bit of each? If you're tracking in several categories, you may need to break up the $120 total amount into $25 for groceries, $30 for gift, $40 for furniture, $25 for clothing. How often should you enter data into your tracker? Some people enter their earnings and spending daily or weekly or only on a payday. Waiting to enter spending only once a month is harder to manage and easier to forget or ignore.
We wanted to share some resources with you. As you examine your income and spending to develop a budget and make tracking a habit, you may find it helpful to connect with other resources. If you feel you need extra support with the budgeting process, credit counseling, or debt management, we recommend GreenPath as one of our trusted partners. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you have great success making budgeting a part of your financial well-being.